The first lie they tell you about failure is that it's a sudden event. A crash. A bang. A pink slip on your desk. But that's not true. Real failure is a slow erosion. It's the tide going out and never coming back in. It's waking up one morning when you're 48 years old, looking in the mirror, and not recognizing the tired, soft man staring back at you. That man used to be me. Alex. The black car crunched along the 3-mile driveway, a path I hadn't traveled in 20 years. Every maple tree lining the route was an identical, perfectly sculpted sentinel, a testament to the kind of wealth that can bend nature to its will. My grandmother's wool. Up ahead, shielded by the Suffolk mist, stood Blackwood Manor. It wasn't a house, it was an accusation carved from stone, a monument to everything I wasn't. I was here for the reading of a will. My mother's. A woman who died with nothing in a rented hospice bed, while her own mother, Eleanor, lived in a place modeled after a royal palace. The injustice of it was a hot coal in my gut. I clutched the worn leather of my briefcase. Inside, there was nothing but a change of clothes and a mountain of debt. The Rolls-Royce purred to a stop before a massive oak door. As I stepped out, the chill in the air felt different here. Heavier. Older. Before I could ring the bell, the door swung open. It was Jeffrey. He hadn't aged a day. Still tall, still impossibly thin, his face a mask of polite indifference. But his eyes held a flicker of something else. Amusement. Pity. Master Alexander, he said, his voice smooth as polished marble. It has been far too long. Jeffrey, I nodded, stepping into the grand foyer. The air inside was thick with the scent of beeswax and old money. My grandmother is expecting me. Indeed. The matriarch is in the solarium. She awaits you for tea. He said the word tea with a strange reverence, as if it were a sacrament. I'm not staying for tea, Jeffrey. Or the night. Have a car ready to take me to the station in 2 hours. Jeffrey's smile didn't reach his eyes. As you wish, sir. But the matriarch is most persuasive. The solarium is at the end of the west wing. I trust you remember the way. I walked, my cheap shoes echoing shamefully on the marble floors. The walls were a gallery of stolen history Renaissance portraits, stoic Roman busts. Their painted eyes followed me, judging the frayed cuffs of my shirt, the paunch straining against my belt. Each piece was worth more than my mother's life. More than mine. Anger was a good motivator. It kept the grief at bay. I found her in the solarium, a room made almost entirely of glass, overlooking acres of manicured gardens even the English rain couldn't dull. Eleanor sat at a small iron table, a porcelain cup in her hand. From behind, she was just a frail old woman, her white hair pinned in an elegant bun. But when she turned, her eyes locked onto mine, and the illusion shattered. They were sharp, piercing gray. The eyes of a hawk. Alexander, she said, her voice betraying none of the fragility her body suggested. You look tired. Mom's dead, Eleanor, I said, dispensing with the pleasantries. You weren't at the funeral. Funerals are for the living, she replied, taking a slow, deliberate sip of her tea. And I have lived a very, very long time. Sit. It was a command, not an invitation. I sat. The chair was cold. You're angry, she stated. You see all this, and you see your mother's empty pockets. And you think I am a monster. The thought crossed my mind. Your mother made her choices, she said, her voice dangerously soft. As did you. Tell me, Alexander, what happened to that fire you had? The boy who was going to build empires? The man who had that beautiful wife, what was her name? Sarah. And your daughter? Cassandra. You lost them all, didn't you? Every word was a perfectly placed jab. She knew about the divorce, about Sarah leaving me for a man with a portfolio and a six-pack. She knew Cassandra preferred her stepfather's Malibu beach house to my cramped apartment. This isn't about me, I spat. Oh, but it is, she smiled, a horrifying, bloodless expression. It is about everything you've lost. Your youth. Your strength. Your potency. It's all gone, isn't it? Slipped right through your fingers. You're a hollowed out man, waiting to die. And you're not even 50. A rage I hadn't felt in years surged through me. And you're a bitter, 100-year-old crone sitting on a pile of gold. I'd rather be me than you. She laughed. It was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. It was a young woman's laugh. Clear and strong. 100, she chuckled, placing her cup down. The clink of porcelain was deafening in the sudden silence. My dear boy. I was born in 1921. Do the math. I stared. It was impossible. She would be over 100. She looked 90, at best. Now, watch closely, she whispered, her eyes gleaming. And do try not to scream. It's so dreadfully common. She raised a hand to her face. Her skin, which I had thought was wrinkled and liver-spotted, was wrong. It was a mask. A brilliantly detailed, Hollywood-grade latex mask. With the steady hand of a surgeon, she hooked her nails under the jawline and peeled it away. Underneath was the face of a woman no older than 25. Flawless skin, high cheekbones, lips the color of crushed berries. Her hair, which I saw now was a wig, came off next, revealing a cascade of brilliant, golden blonde hair. Everything was young. Everything except the eyes. Those ancient, predatory eyes remained. I shot out of my chair, knocking it over. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Who, what are you? I am your grandmother, she said, her voice now matching her youthful appearance. It was melodious, hypnotic. I am your inheritance, Alex. And I am your only hope. Now sit down. We have so much to discuss. Numbly, I obeyed. She poured a second cup of tea from the pot. The liquid was a strange, murky brown. She pushed it towards me. Drink, she commanded. What is it? My voice was a strangled whisper. It is the answer, she said. It's the reason for this house, this wealth, this face. It is the secret our family has protected for centuries. A secret that only passes down our line when a matriarch's firstborn dies. Your mother's death was not an end, Alex. It was a key. It unlocked the gift for you. My mind reeled. I thought of my shabby apartment, my mounting bills, the pity in my daughter's eyes. I looked at the woman, the creature in front of me, radiating a terrifying vitality. I thought of her words. A hollowed-out man. I drank the tea. It tasted like grave dirt and rot, a foul, metallic bitterness that coated my tongue. I gagged, nearly spitting it out, but her eyes held me fast. All of it, she hissed. I forced it down. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a fire ignited in my stomach and spread through my veins. It wasn't a drug high, It was something purer, more fundamental. It was like 20 years of exhaustion and failure were being burned away in a furnace. My vision sharpened, the colors of the garden outside becoming impossibly vivid. The chronic ache in my lower back vanished. I felt a surge of strength, a forgotten confidence. I felt powerful. What did you do to me? I gave you a taste, Eleanor smiled, her beauty now sinister. The full effect, that requires your own personal blend. But now, you see the potential. Now you're ready to learn the cost. She led me from the solarium, down a corridor I'd never seen, to a dead end decorated with faded floral wallpaper. She pressed a pattern on the wall, and a section slid open, revealing a hidden elevator. We descended into the cold, sterile dark. The elevator opened into a room that was part laboratory, part butcher's shop. And on the far side was the gleaming steel door of a walk-in freezer. Every gift has a price, Alexander, she said, her hand on the freezer handle. Our family's gift is no different. To gain life, life must be taken. To be young, another must be old. To be strong, another must be weak. It is a perfect, brutal balance. She swung the door open. A fluorescent light flickered on inside. I threw up on the pristine tile floor. The tea came up burning, but the feeling of power remained, now tainted with absolute horror. Hanging from meat hooks, like sides of beef, were bodies. At least a dozen of them, in various states of preservation and butchery. They were all women. Old women. The matriarchs of the family, Eleanor said, her voice devoid of emotion. My mother. My grandmother. Their mothers before them. They are the source. Their flesh, dried and ground, is the active ingredient in the tea. She stepped inside and ran a manicured finger along the frozen arm of one of the corpses. Their power is finite. Each body will last for decades, if you are frugal. But eventually, the supply runs out. My mind was a screaming vortex. This was a nightmare. A dynasty of cannibal witches. My mother. I stammered, pointing a shaking finger at an empty hook at the end of the row. You want me to? Your mother's body is already on its way to you, she said calmly. A precaution. I suspected you might be hesitant. It will arrive at your apartment tomorrow in a state-of-the-art cryogenic freezer. You will do what must be done. You will grind a piece of her flesh, no bigger than your thumbnail. You will steep it. And you will drink. Never, I snarled, backing away. You're a monster. I am a survivor, she snapped, her youthful face contorting with a flash of ancient fury. And I am offering you the same. But you need to understand the full equation. It is not just about consuming the past. The gift requires a counterbalance in the present. What are you talking about? Her eyes softened with feigned pity. Have you ever wondered why your mother's life was so hard? So full of sickness and bad luck? Or why your own life has been a string of disappointments? A cold dread, colder than the freezer, washed over me. It wasn't random chance, Alex. The power demands balance. For me to be healthy, my daughter had to be sick. For me to be rich, she had to be poor. Her suffering, it fueled the tea's potency. It was her sacrifice. And now. She looked at me, a surgeon delivering a terminal diagnosis. It is Cassandra's turn. Your daughter. The room tilted. What? The moment you drink your first cup of your own blend, the cycle begins anew. Your life will ascend. You will grow younger, stronger, richer than you can imagine. And her life will begin its decline. She will grow sick, unlucky, miserable. Her pain will be the catalyst for your power. It's a terrible, tragic price. But it is the only way. You want me to sacrifice my own daughter? I screamed. For what? To look young? To get rich? To be powerful, she corrected. To take back the life that was stolen from you. To protect what's yours. Is that not what a man does? Or will you let her stepfather continue to buy her affection while you rot in obscurity? Will you stand by and do nothing? She let me go after that. Jeffrey escorted me to the waiting car, his face unreadable. The entire ride to the station, the tease fire ward with the ice in my soul. I was home by midnight, the foul taste still lingering in my mouth. The next day, as promised, the freezer arrived. The delivery men grunted as they hauled the large, white appliance into my cramped bedroom. They had no idea what or who was inside. After they left, I stood before it, the hum of the compressor a monstrous heartbeat in the silent apartment. My phone rang. It was my ex-wife, Sarah. Her voice was frantic. Alex. It's Cassandra. There's been an accident. My blood ran cold. What? Is she okay? She's okay, mostly, Sarah sobbed. She was riding that new horse Mark bought her. A freak thing. The horse just collapsed. Broken leg. Had to be put down. Cass just has a broken arm, but she's so shaken up, the doctors are saying the horse had a massive, spontaneous brain aneurysm. They've never seen anything like it. I hung up the phone, my hand trembling. Unlucky. Eleanor's word echoed in my mind. It was starting. Just from that one taste of her tea, the curse was already reaching out, touching my daughter. I spent the next hour in a fugue state, pacing my apartment. I looked at my reflection. The effects of the tea were fading. The lines were returning to my face, the ache to my back. The feeling of power was receding, replaced by the familiar stench of despair. Taped to the side of the freezer was an envelope. Inside was a single, elegant teacup and a letter from Eleanor. My dearest Alexander. I know this is difficult. The choice is a heavy one. But there is a detail I omitted, for the sake of clarity. A final piece of the puzzle you must understand. The tea does more than rejuvenate the body. With each cup, it binds the user to the source. It forges a connection. You will not just be consuming your mother's flesh, you will be absorbing her memories, her essence. And in doing so, you will also be forging a bond with me. A permanent one. You see, this body I wear, as resilient as it is still a vessel. And vessels, over a century, begin to wear out. The tea can mend the flesh, but the consciousness, it craves a new home. You are not just inheriting a gift, Alex. You are being prepared. You are to be my next vessel. Once you are strong enough, I will simply move in. Your mind will become a quiet room in a house that is mine. And I will have another century of youth, through you. There is no escaping it now. The bond is already formed. If you refuse the tea, Cassandra's luck will only worsen as the curse, unchanneled, lashes out. Your only choice is to drink. Grow strong. And accept your purpose. Become a worthy vessel for my continuation. It is, after all, your inheritance. With all my love. Grandmother. I read the letter twice, then 3 times. The horror was so profound it became a kind of calm. I was trapped. She hadn't offered me a choice. She had laid a snare. My mother was the bait. My daughter was the leverage. And I was the prize. I laughed. A dry, rasping sound. A hollowed-out man. She was right. But a hollow man can be filled. I walked into the bedroom. The freezer hummed its quiet, predatory song. I thought of Cassandra's broken arm. I thought of my own pathetic life. I thought of Eleanor, sitting in her palace, waiting to devour my soul. She thought she was making me her puppet. Her vessel. But she made a mistake. She gave me the tools of her own power. She told me the rules of the game. And she underestimated the one thing a cornered, failing man has in infinite supply: rage. I wasn't just going to drink the tea to save Cassandra. I wasn't going to become her next host. I was going to drink until I was stronger than she was. I would absorb my mother's essence, and every matriarch before her. I would learn their secrets, steal their power. I would find a way to break the curse, to turn it back on its creator. I would go back to that manor, not as her vessel, but as her replacement. I opened the freezer. My mother's face was peaceful, covered by a thin layer of frost. "I'm sorry, Mom," I whispered, my voice raw. "But your suffering is over. And mine is just beginning." I went to the kitchen and took out a knife and a coffee grinder. The hum of the freezer followed me, a promise of power and a sentence of damnation. He will lust for me once more. However, this time it will be his life that is ruined. Not mine. I sat back, thanked my mother, and took my first sip. The first of many. The war for my soul had begun.